Love and Light Friends, Part 2. More in-depth talk about life. But to talk about life, we got to talk about death. Because death seems to be the thing that pretty much ruins life, right? Everything could be all fine and dandy about life unless death shows up. And then life really gets turned upside down. And in the shorter version, if you listen to that, then I brought to mind the fact that you've died many times. And in many ways. And that this knowledge is in your subconscious. So instead of worrying about how we're going to die this time, could we not take comfort in the fact that we've died numerous times before? And yet here we are, alive and conscious, talking about having died many times. This reality is a trauma-based reality. At least it seems to start out that way. It seems as though after you're taken from the womb, where you were functioning much like a cell in the body, and suddenly you're taken from being in a cell-like state. You're in physicality, like fully in physicality. And you're being handled by a stranger. More than likely, you're being jabbed with sharp objects, and various chemicals are being injected into your physiology, into your UFO suit, that you will be experiencing this reality and this realm in until you die yet again. Fairly quickly, you will be pushed into programs that are designed to program. You will be made to fall in line. You will be told not to question. You will be looked at funny if you do question. And if you question just too much, there might even be some sort of repercussions. Now, if that's not a trauma-based society, I don't know what is. What kind of a society could you be a part of where you would be faced with repercussions for simply asking questions? You know how they say when you're in school, you might have had a teacher even that said, don't be afraid to ask questions. There are no stupid questions. But I guarantee you, there are questions that should not be asked and cannot be answered. And because they can't be answered, that's why you shouldn't be asking. In other words, don't ask questions that cannot be answered. Only ask us questions within the parameter of our limited scope of our program. Don't rock the boat. And certainly do not influence the other sheep if they are acting like good little sheep. And they're doing it the way that they're told, and they're not questioning anything. And they're not seeing any contradictions. They're not seeing any trauma. They're totally sold, lock, stock, and barrel. But you were probably not that way. You are probably a little different. And so after you go through school where everybody else has been traumatized in whatever ways, because the trauma is happening from just every side, every angle, right? We got a culture that was influenced by people that made movies where they showed, horrific things being done to humans by humans, which plants the seed of this idea that humans are these treacherous, disgusting creatures that can do the most vilest, heinous things to each other. Which makes you untrusting. And this is just all slow drip. This is drip drop trauma. This is not run up on you and beat you down and kick you in the stomach trauma. This is drop by drop by drop by drop. Get a little bit at the schoolhouse. Get a little bit, from your peers who've had their own trauma done to them, and so they're simply trying to act as though they're not traumatized by traumatizing somebody else. That's where bullies came from. That's where this whole clique mentality comes from. You better get in a clique. And then if you take all that to the extreme, you got gangs where now you got to be in a gang. And to get in our gang, we all beat the shit out of you. So more trauma. It's just a cycle of trauma that gets set up. But it happens in a drip drop fashion. So you got school, you got home, you got movies, and see, really, you could say Hollywood was really took the place of mother and father. Mother and father were too busy being slaves to the system, which I'm not placing blame on nobody or anything. I'm just pointing out what is. Right? In most cases, the parents, and I'm probably guilty of this my own self, because here we are in this lower world, all participating in a machine called the Matrix, using fiat currency as an exchange, which is backed by nothing. So it's all just complicit. It's backed by your complicity. Forget gold, forget silver, forget all that crap. What's the dollar really backed by? It's backed by your complicitness, your willingness to play the monopoly game. Right? So Hollywood became mom and dad, and the movies were intentionally, meant to reinforce this whole trauma idea in the name of entertainment and excitement. You're excited to see Jason chasing some half-naked poor girl that's traumatized and screaming and freaking out, running through the woods, being chased by this silent, almost cool dude. He's almost cool. Something cool about old Jason and his mask. And he ain't even running. He's just walking fast. But somehow he's able to keep up with her, and she's sprinting with all her might, has a full adrenaline rush going and everything. Right? And he's just sort of fast walking. And then inevitably, what happens? The trauma. The girl's being stabbed up or raped or whatever. I don't even watch movies. I haven't watched movies in years. I have no interest in movies. I'm not just talking about horror movies. That's just one version of the trauma. That's the most blatant, in your face. That's like, people running up on you and giving you the beatdown type trauma. Whereas the drip drop trauma will come through the other, let's say, the mother side of the movies. The mother side of Hollywood, Weirdywood. And so you get your drama movies, where they get more into the emotions of things. And you see all these women getting caught up in drama because they're cheating on their husbands, or their husbands are cheating on them. And it's just a whole different form of trauma. So we have allowed surrogate parents to traumatize our children into believing that in the trauma, that's who and what we are. This is normal. See, it's normal for you to go plop down in front of the newest movie is normal. So they've normalized you eating junk at a trough like a cow. Done it so long,